to this week's episode of Ant on Music. I, of course, am your humble host, Ant, and this week we are finally getting a look at the 50th anniversary Super Deluxe box set of Genesis, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Yes, the concept album of all concept albums from 70s Genesis, the last one with Peter Gabriel. It was such a fractious time within the band. It's basically the straw that broke the camel's back and let Peter to move on to his amazing solo career. So we're going to actually take a look at that first. But before we do, of course, want you all to click the like button, subscribe. Most importantly, subscribe. Drop a comment. You know, it's like I like to have the back and forth. You know, tell me what you think of things. What's something you'd like to see me do a show on? I am going to do a show on all of my Rush stuff. Just waiting for a little lull, and then I'll collect it all up, and we'll do the Rush thing. And aside from Genesis, we're going to look at a couple other albums this week as well. This was kind of a good week for music. You know, it's like very, very excited. A lot of good stuff, some live stuff, all re-releases pretty much, with the exception of the live album. But anyhow, enough chit chat. Let's get into the tunes. All right, so we get this monstrous box set from Genesis. All right, and it's very, very cool. All right, there's the original album cover right there. Expanded to show all the artwork contained therein. And it's a great collection of stuff. You know, they did a nice job with it. And what we get here is the 2025 remaster of the album itself. I'll show you the hype sticker, all right? Give you a peek at that. So we get the 2025 remaster of the album. In addition to that, we get Live from the Shrine Auditorium as well. We get a Blu-ray disc with the Atmos mix of the album. And also we get the remaster of the album on the Blu-ray and the uncompressed version as well in 24-bit 96 kilohertz edition as well. There's also a download card in here which gives you access to the demos from Headley Grange, which are The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, Fly on a Windshield, Take 1, Chamber of 32 Doors, The Lamia, Takes 1 and 2, and In the Cage, Strange Vocals, Take 1. Also, 60-page book, 1975 tour program reproduction, a replica ticket, and posters. So you get all that, and this is the back of the box that's that was basically put on the back there. So you have that. Once you take off the shrink, that's what you get. And here it is, back in all its glory. Genesis, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Beautiful gatefold. And it perfectly replicates the original album that was released 50 years ago today. Down to the sleeves, everything is just as it was. And it's fantastic. It really is a great job that they did with this. And if you're unfamiliar with this album, it's the tale of Real, all right, who is a youth from New York City of Puerto Rican heritage who goes on a spiritual journey after encountering a lamb that lies down on Broadway. So very transformative piece of music. It wasn't extremely well liked when it first came out, but it's gained this amazing cult status, and there are tunes that are just standout tracks for Genesis that they played throughout their entire career live. So, you got that first album, and obviously on the main album you get the title track, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Then you get the Broadway melody. Then you get Fly in the Windshield into the Broadway melody of 74. Also, we get Cocoon, In the Cage, which is always they always played that in whole or in part. The Grand Parade of Lifeless Packaging is funky, kind of weird, oddball tune that's in there. One of my favorites, which oddly enough, if you watched the last episode and you heard about my busted head, I went on vacation, and that's what happens when I actually leave New York. But I always listen to Back in New York City when I'm on my way back to New York, especially if I'm touching down in a plane. There's something about coming back to New York, which is always special, especially if you're a New Yorker. Then you get Hairless Heart, Counting Out Time, The Carpet Crawlers, great tune, Chamber of 32 Doors, Lily White Lilith, The Waiting Room. Anyway, here comes the supernatural anesthetist, The Lamia, great tune. If you're, I remember a few years back on one of the Hackett albums, they got Steve Rothery to come in and do the Lamia on that one. Silent Sorrow and Empty Boats, The Colony of Slippermen, Ravine, The Lights Go Down on Broadway, Riding the Scree, and In the Rapids, and finally It. So that covers the initial album. Then what you get after that, you get Live from the Shrine Auditorium in LA back in January of '75. So that's where we're at. I guess that's where they're basing the 50th on. And you get a ton of unreleased stuff here, which is very cool. It's like you get the stuff as far as the download card, that stuff, and you also get a couple of live tunes that had never been released from the Shrine. You get The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, whole and entire. Okay, the entire set, as we've just talked about. In addition to that, after that entire set list, for an encore, which was never released before in any way, you get Watcher of the Skies, which is a phenomenal Genesis tune, and also the classic The Musical Box. So very cool to have that all put together in the album itself. And we'll take a look at the live album. This is heavy duty, 3 monstrous slabs of vinyl. And we're going to put this aside a little bit. Let's try and get this to work with us, because this is no joke. This is a big piece of music to handle. So I'll show you the inner sleeves as well on this. So you get this, and it is a triple gatefold. So you get to see the whole band there performing live with Peter right up front. And I'll show you the back as well. And then we'll show you the sleeves. All right, you get the track listing on the dead back cover of that. And let's see. Shows you the title tracks and all the track listing, I should say, on the album. The vinyl itself is basic black, so there's nothing really to show you here. But just pull one out just so you have an idea. Trying to get my grubby hands all over it. So you get the track listing on one side, then on the flip you get a picture of New York City at night. And we'll take a look at the other sleeves as well, because obviously they differ from each other as well. And want to show you everything we can. And then you get the flip side with the track listings there as well. And then the middle one, always the difficult middle child. I think I'm going to take this as a photo. I'm going to make my my Facebook photo. Maybe I'll put it here on the channel and make that my my photo, so I'll know who the hell is coming to see me. They'll have seen this video and said, "Oh wow, that's Ant's photo from the Lamb box set." Probably won't do that. Probably scare the crap out of people, but it's always fun to say. And what else do we got? Like I said, now we get into the goodies. The goodies in the box set. You always got to have goodies in a box set, right? So got this, and this is where you get your Blu-ray, okay, with the entire album right here on Blu-ray, Dolby Atmos mix, 74 studio album, stereo mix, and then the 24 bit 96 kilohertz mix as well, uncompressed. You get this official replication of the Genesis tour book from back then. Notice the little face that's there. And let's take a look inside here. One of the more difficult costumes that Peter had to deal with, he always talks about in interviews how this was always a little bit hard to get through for people to hear the vocals, obviously because of the bubble man there, the Slipperman. And you get the complete replication of this tour program right here. There's the live shot from the album, the live album. A little more intimate look at each of the players. And of course, the ever-smiling Tony Banks. In addition, we get this replica ticket, which is also the download card. So how cool is that? They made it worthwhile. And then finally in this booklet, this little folder, we get a poster announcing the gig at the Shrine, as well as San Diego as well. So how cool is that? So that's all in this. And then there is another collection in here as well, which we'll dig that out momentarily. And I still got more stuff to show you. Isn't that cool? So like I said, good week for music, good week to grab some stuff, whole and entire for new releases that are just coming out. And believe it or not, by the time this video airs, it will be Rocktober. And of course, if you know anything about Rocktober, Rhino Records does a whole ton of stuff. I saw there was a few things I'm interested in, like Fleetwood Mac, Tusk. On purple vinyl, I only have like an old beat up copy that I got at a used place. And Typo Negative, the least worst of. And the cool thing is you have to actually go to a store and pick those up. Last thing in this Genesis box set, the book. Not hardcover, but still very nice. Obviously, this is photos from Headley Grange where they demoed the album. Some of the clothing choices for Mr. Gabriel on this tour. Once again, the Slipperman. And here's him. Here's the man himself as Real. And we get all the lyrics, which is pretty nice too. So you have everything. So it's a good, lengthy book in the box set that you have to look at, which is kind of cool. And that is everything in The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway 50th anniversary super deluxe edition, multiple LP. So what is it? 5 LPs and the Blu-ray. Can't really complain about that. Lots of little gimmies in there. And there's the sheet again. Tells you everything you got. And that's it for the Genesis box set. So that's quite happy to finally get this in the collection. Been waiting forever for it. So there you go. Genesis, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. So what else do I got? Well, Beat, the King Crimson side project that did all the 80s King Crimson stuff, they finally released in multiple formats. So far, I've only picked up the LP. The triple LP. It is called Neon Heat Disease Live in Los Angeles. And this is a triple album set. And this is Adrian Belew and Tony Levin, who were in the League of Gentlemen, which became Discipline, which released the Discipline album. Then they changed it to King Crimson. I should say it was Discipline, became they changed it to King Crimson when it came time for release, and that was with Fripp and Bruford. But Fripp is retired from touring, and he gave his blessing to this project. So we got Steve Vai stepping into the role of Robert Fripp, which I'm kind of conflicted about because I do love Steve Vai. I think Steve Vai is a phenomenal talent. I think sometimes his recordings come across a bit sterile, but he is a master musician, and he really does a fantastic job with his take on the King Crimson catalog from this era, which is the 80s era, Two of a Perfect Pair, Beat, and Discipline, and Danny Carey of Tool, who is probably the best drummer going at this point, best drummer alive. And you can't really sneeze at that level of talent. So I'll show you everything on this, and we'll talk about the track listing if you haven't had a chance to listen to it yourselves. Once again, we get a whopping triple gatefold here. Trying to get that all in for you guys to see. Pretty cool. And everything in this is basic black vinyl and plain black paper sleeve. So nothing to see there. But it is a phenomenal album, and it is a great track listing live. And what do we got on there? All right, we got a whole lot. We get Neurotica, Neil and Jack and Me, which is a great tune from the album Beat. You get Heartbeat, Satori and Tangier, Lark's Tongue and Aspic Part 3, Waiting Man. Then right here, this is like three of my favorite tracks all in a row from this era. You get Frame by Frame, Matakudasai, and Elephant Talk. After that, Three of a Perfect Pair. Actually, I did this out of order. So let's do this right. We get Neurotica, Neil and Jack and Me, Heartbeat, Satori and Tangier. Then side 2 of that album, we get Model Man, Dig Me, Man with an Open Heart and Industry. Then side 2, we kick off album 2. Side 1, we kick off with Lark's Tongue and Waiting Man. Then Sheltering Sky, which I absolutely adore. That's such a great tune. Sleepless, and then the 3 of my favorites, Frame by Frame, Matakudasai, and Elephant Talk, and finishing off that side with Three of a Perfect Pair. And then 2 of my absolute favorites as well, Indiscipline, and one of the songs that I just find immensely fun, Thela Hunjinji. What a great way to close out a monster set by an extremely talented band of musicians. So that's Beat, Baloo, Levin, Carrie, and Vi right there. And I got this one directly from the artist, I believe. Last 2 things I have for you. It's a twofer, all right? Same band, 2 different things. Really psyched that this got re-released properly. I was always a big fan of Mother Love Bone. And, you know, if you know anything about music and grunge, Andrew Wood, their lead singer, died before their first album was released. Never really got to enjoy the fruits of his labor as far as being able to enjoy being a rock star. Now, if you know anything else, you know that he was roommates with Chris Cornell. And both of them died, you know, very sad deaths. Andrew died basically of a drug overdose, and obviously drugs related in Cornell's passing. But this is the first time that we're getting a re-release on the albums that they had put out, okay? So we get the first press since 1989, all right? On limited opaque sky blue Echo vinyl. Very plain, but heavyweight. Very nice, all right? And, you know, it's very cool to have this, and it's actually just an EP, and you get the same material on both sides of the record. You get Through Fade Away, Mindshaker Meltdown, which is a great tune, Half-Ass Monkey Boy, and then for me, their classic of classic tunes, Clo Dancer, Crown of Thorns. And this, the band was Andrew Wood, Stone Gossard, Bruce Fairweather, Jeff Ament, and Greg Gilmore. Obviously, Jeff and Stone went on to form Pearl Jam after the passing of Andrew Wood. So this is the first time this has been re-released, first pressing since '89. So that's really cool. And the only time I've had this, aside from CD, is this really good bootleg version of it. So I'm happy to have this album proper in my collection. Talking about the Apple album from MLB. Okay. And this one, once again, not much to see as far as stuff, but it is on this very funky orange vinyl. And they're calling it habanero colored on the hype sticker. So got our habanero hype sticker right there as well. And this has got such a stellar track listing. You know, Andrew Wood was a rock star's rock star, even when he wasn't a big deal. He was a rock star in a club, much the way like Freddie Mercury was. So we got This Is Shangri-La, great tune, Stardoll Champion, Holy Rolla, Bone China, Come Bite the Apple, Heartshine, Stargazer, Captain Hip Hop, Captain High Top, Man of Golden Words, Capricorn Sister, and once again, Crown of Thorns. So you get that all right there. This is a grunge classic, and I don't even really think it qualifies as grunge. It was just really different from everything else that was out there, but a fantastic album nonetheless. That is everything that I have for you guys this week. Make sure you come back next week, share it across platforms, make fun of the mistakes that I make constantly on this channel because I get my tongue out ahead of my brain. But, you know, thanks for checking out the channel. Thanks for checking out the episode. Dig around in the channel. There's probably something on here that you dig. You know, there's got to be something else you like that I've talked about. Also, drop some comments. Until next time, subscribe. Peace, one love, music. I'm out.